Alright, so for this section of the course, I'm going to be introducing some of Excel's conditional functions. And conditional functions are used when we want to perform a calculation when a cell contains a specific value. So by using conditional functions, we can make Excel return one value if the condition is true, and another value if the condition is false. And one of the most commonly used conditional functions is the if function. So that's the function we will be working with first. And I want to point out that we will be working inside the if function sheet tab for this video. So to begin, make sure that you have this sheet selected. So what the if function does is that it runs a logical test and then returns one value if the test is true, and then a different value if the test is false. So let's take a look at our example in this worksheet and see how we can apply the if function. So in the first column, we have names, and then in the second column, we have each person's score. And let's say that our goal for column C is to insert a certain value depending if that person's score is a passing grade or a failing grade. So to insert the function, we can type in the equal sign and then start typing if. And then we can give the if function a double click. And then we can open up the function arguments window. And the first argument is the logical test, which is any value or expression that can be evaluated to true or false. So what we are testing is if that person's score is above or below the failing grade. So for our test, we can select that person's score, and let's say that the failing score is 65. So any score above 65 is passing. So we can say if B2 is greater than 65, then return this value if it's true, or return another value if it's false. So for our second argument, if the value is true, we can return a text value saying pass. So we have to type in open quotes, then pass, and then close quotes. So keep in mind, anytime you're working with text values inside of Excel formulas, you have to put quotes around the text. So if the person's score is above 65, return true. And if it's below 65, so if the value is false, we can return fail. And we can see that this function will return pass, because B2, which is 89, is greater than 65, which is true, and if the value is true, return pass. And if we click OK, now pass is inserted into that cell, and if we move our cursor to the fill handle and give it a double click, it will copy this formula down for the rest of our data, and since we use a relative reference B2 in our formula, that B2 will get changed to B3, B4, and so on. So if we double click our fill handle, it fills the formula for the rest of our data, and if we take a look to see which values got returned, well, we know that 76 is a passing grade, 93 is a passing grade, but for cell C5, the formula returned fail, because 62 is below 65. So if the score is not above 65, that means it's false. And if the value is false, we told the function to return fail. So that's how you use the if function. Now within our formula, we told the function to return the text values of pass or fail. But the if